after I was partaking in I came up with a movie idea. So without further ado, if you're a movie executive and you're looking to greenlight the next great screenplay, then look no further. As all good movies begin, the first scene is with a baby is born. And now this baby is established to like the color red. It gravitates towards the color red, and we'll call this baby Joe. He's the main character. Joe's our main character, and he has a good life. He's soon to have two kids, but he only has one child at the moment. He's a kind of a cool guy. He still loves the color red. His phone is red. He maybe has a red car. He maybe was a wild soul at some point in his life, but he's starting to mellow down. He has a fiance. He was into weed, and he was into weed, video games, and he was just sort of a scruffy kind of guy, but sort of getting his life straightened out type of thing. That's when, tragedy upon tragedies, he gets hit by a car. So we have our equilibrium that's been established. He's just a average guy, you're a totally average guy. He then gets hit by a car, conflict, bang. He gets put into a medical coma and is given this new cutting edge, untested cryomedical preservation. He gets put into this cryogenic chamber because the doctors of our time cannot. He's got like a spinal cord injury. They cannot fix his injury. The doctors of our time cannot, but the doctors of the future might. So they're cryogenically freezing him. You might have heard of this concept before. It's not a new concept, but this is what happens to him essentially. One thing to note is, as he's getting cryogenically put under, during the process, he actually sort of wakes up, but has this thing LIS, locked in syndrome. And as he's going under into the cryogenics, he's awake. So he gets put into this dark box for an undetermined amount of time, awake. So he's literally can't smell anything, can't hear anything, can't see anything, but his mind is going, and the last thing he saw was the doors shutting on him. He basically loses his mind. He has some flashbacks. He has moments where he thinks he's out of the box. He's still in the box. He remembers he's in the box. He's basically loses his entire mind. The person we know to be Joe ceases after many years in this sort of state. His brain stops functioning normally. His mind is gone. He's completely erased. 25 years later, since he got put in the box, he is then woken up, and he's still, let's say, 25 when he got, to make things easier, he was 25 when he got put in. He was in there for 25 years, so he should be 50, but he's still physically 25, and mentally, he's 0 years old. So following this, and his kids now, they're 25 years old. They've all grown up, and he's the same physical age as them. Mentally, not so much. So he's tabula rasa. Now in philosophy, that means blank slate. So that's something that comes up, tabula rasa. Maybe that's the name of the film. There is sort of like a legal proceedings at this point. The fiance and stuff like that hear about this, and it's part of the film where the whoever greenlit this cryomedical thing, all the trials are stopped. Many have begun. It's very unethical. The kids read about it. His kids, Joe's kids, they read about this, and the character begins to relearn everything, but he's a sort of a new person. The doctors explain he's a baby in the body of someone his children's age, so he's 25. Mind 0 to the kids. So this is written. Funnily enough, this is written awfully. So I'm really having to interpret what I was writing that night so many years ago.
It's 4 a.m. I just wrote a load of shit. I started writing stuff. it's not really that much yet. Just cause
But yeah, okay, so yeah, his at 5 years old he'll be potty trained. You know what I mean? So 5 years on, so he'll be 30-year-old man being potty trained, if you will. Do you get potty trained at 5? I imagine so. The doctors and caregivers do most of this retraining because obviously there's a lot of legal proceedings, like money is awarded to the people to look after these people that have been affected by this cryogenic freezing that's wiped their brain. Occasionally the fiance is involved, but you can imagine she doesn't really want a lot to do with this guy. 25 years on, and he's got like the mind of a baby. Like, it's gonna be really traumatic. And the kids who are his kids, they grew up without a father. They help out as well because they want to get to know their father. In a way, they have a sort of sibling relationship, because he's just like he's their age, but he's mentally a lot slower because he's had to relearn everything. Let's continue. The mother of the kids, the fiance, yeah. She was a single mother for a long time, but she has a new partner now. So again, it's not like Joe is restarting his life and getting back with his old fiance, because she's been aging as well, so she's the actual age she's supposed to be. She's 50 odd, but she also has a new partner. She's continued her life. Something that I forgot to mention, but the cat is playing with a toy. I don't know if you can hear that, but something I forgot to mention, but is actually important, is that Joe, after waking up from the coma, he likes the color green. He doesn't like the color red, so that's how he's changed. He used to be red. He loved the color red. Incident. Now he loves the color green. He should age quite rapidly because his brain's already done the developing. So it's like walking down a path that's already trod before, just it doesn't know it's trod it. So then the film advances at this point. We've had like this sort of new equilibrium. He's decided he doesn't want to be Joe, he wants to be Paul, and he has discussions about this because he feels really weird about continuing Joe's life. So age advances. Paul is now 50. His fiance before the incident is now 75. His kids are also 50. And he's sort of got this new life experience happening, right? Mentally, he's only 25. He's talking to his kids and stuff like that, and he's saying that he feels bad. He's missed the death of Joe's parents, his own parents. He's missed the death of them because he was a baby when his mother died. I say he was a baby. He was mentally a baby. He was actually 50. He was actually 50 years old. This film's a little difficult to get your head around, so really, really pay attention. Okay, so Paul. So let's make the distinction now. Paul is the old Joe we're talking about now, and they're two really different people that they've shared one life because of this 25-year cryogenic thing that happened to him. So Paul is talking to his daughter, and he's saying he feels bad about the daughter's mother, his old fiance. He feels like he's taken over Joe's life, and the fact that he wasn't there for his mother's funeral. Paul's children, so Joe's children, have had a 3-year-old child themselves, and go figure, the kid loves red. Paul is content, but he feels like life went quick. Paul has a new partner, and he comes out to the partner that he's only mentally 25 at a family function. He doesn't like any of the same stuff. That's a great important point. He doesn't like any of the same stuff. He's not like a stoner. He's not like happy-go-lucky. He's like a very different person. Paul goes up a ladder to fix something on the roof, and as he's up on the ladder shakes, and suddenly Paul falls off the roof and dies. Shock, right? Blackness. Fade in. We have Paul talking, and he's like, the actor for Joe and the actor for Paul are going to be two different people because one's a young man and one's an old man. They can have two different voices and all this stuff. And suddenly we hear Joe's voice. His consciousness has been reawoken by the fact that they've fallen off this ladder and they're dead. So it kind of makes sense that if there is an afterlife, or if you have two personalities inhabiting one body, it kind of makes sense that they both would come out during this time. Like, we don't know what happens after death, so this is a depiction of what happens after you die. And Joe comes back and he's like, no, what the hell's happening? And Paul is confused. He's in this, like, suddenly it's no longer just a blackness, it's sort of taking shape. It's like a room in, like, the Matrix, you know, the Matrix, like the white rooms. It's in his brain, or it's in heaven, or wherever this afterlife exists. And at this point, Joe and Paul have a dialogue. They greet each other. It's instant that Joe takes a disliking to Paul, and he doesn't like him, basically. They're very different people. But now sort of this room has started to change and stuff that they're in, and we start to relive memories of Paul. Very soon, like, Paul in the later section of his life, right? We start to relive his memories. Okay, anyway. So they're both watching this event from the past occur, and it's the kids talking to each other. The daughter, and we'll say he has a son as well, so it's a daughter and a son, or it's a daughter and another daughter. It only matters that one of them is a daughter, because whatever. And the kids are mentioning that Paul feels bad. They're reiterating this stuff from their discussion they had earlier in the film, that Paul feels bad for never attending the funeral of his mother. And this is where the news is dropped to Joe that Paul's mother died, or Joe's mother died, and Joe flies into a rage. And during this rageful moment where he's like, "You didn't go see the death of my mother," he clatters something in the room, but it affects real life. So the people in the memory, like the two kids, they react to this thing, like something clatters off the like a mug falls off, and they go, what the hell is that? Weird. So there's kind of a ghost element there. They're like traveling back through time and affecting things. So they're sort of ghostly. This is like the afterlife. Think about this, guys. They're going through all these memories and stuff, but it is, again, it's a bit like being back in the sensory deprivation cryogenic freezing tank. They exist for so long in this space with very little sort of mental awareness of what's going on, that they're losing their minds a bit, in the same exact way that Joe was losing his mind during the cryogenic freezing. This is basically Paul now becoming, his mind getting wiped in the same way, where there's just zero interaction, zero anything for years and years and years, however long it would take for your mind just to be completely wiped. This process of being of eternity. Obviously, this is during a film's runtime, so it can't be that long. But essentially, he loses his mind completely, and the screen goes blank for however long. And then it cuts to Paul's/Joe's children, and they're arranging details for the funeral of Paul, because he's fallen off the ladder. We've cut back to reality, and they're arranging details of the funeral, and they're getting bills in order, and they're joking around, and he's like, "Of course Dad would die before us as well." You know, they're joking around like, he's already died once, you know. They only sort of knew him for a 25-year period whilst he was aging up, if that makes sense. let me just reiterate this, just so that the final part of the film really hits home. So Joe, he loves red, right? He has a red phone. He, as a baby, he loved the color red. But after the incident, after the cryogenics, and he got his mind wiped, and he went back to being a baby again. Paul loves green. He's always wearing a green cardigan, or he doesn't really fuck with the color red because he's a different person to Joe. So, yeah, Joe loves red. Paul loves green, and and the chart. Okay, and then Paul's / Joe's daughter is talking about his funeral, is absentmindedly, like rocking the crib of Joe's grandson / daughter, and she takes off the red blanket, and the baby is wearing like a green hat or like a good little green outfit underneath, and it's sort of like, wait, did he get reincarnated as the baby? So that was how the film ends. I thought this was really, really good when I wrote it. It's sort of kind of insane. I don't think it would actually be long enough to be a film. I think maybe it would only be long enough to be like a sort of shit Black Mirror episode. But yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.